So you've heard about keto and you're thinking of trying it. Alhamdulillah, that's great because it's one of the best ways to tie your camel for health, which is one of the most important blessings we can have because it affects our minds, relationships, work, finances, and our iman. Now, just a few quick things to note before diving into the keto diet. Number one, there's healthy keto and there's dirty keto. Healthy keto means you're only eating real food, whereas dirty keto means you're eating real food, but you're also eating processed foods. Even if they're labeled keto friendly, processed food is still processed food and it isn't ideal for optimal health. So we're going to do healthy halal keto, inshallah. Number two, don't do it to lose weight. Do it to improve your health. This will take care of the weight by default because you'll become a fat-burning machine eating only real food. And doing it for weight loss can cause you to focus too much on the scale, which can be discouraging if your expectations are unrealistic because you don't understand what's happening under the hood. Number three, there's a high probability that you're addicted to carbohydrates, aka sugar. I have a series on addiction that you can check out in case you want to address why you're using food to cope with the underlying pain or stress. Links down below. And finally, number four, keto is a lifestyle. The strategy to improve our health is simple, but implementing it is not easy. It's important to see processed foods as harmful to your health. Just as Muslims, we don't eat pork as a way of life. We also don't want to eat harmful and addictive processed foods as a way of life. If you find yourself struggling, hit me up in the comments, inshallah. Okay, so what is the ketogenic diet? Simply put, it's a high-fat, moderate to high-protein, low-carb diet. Our bodies can primarily run on fat or glucose, and unfortunately, it's the overconsumption of glucose that's led most of the world towards insulin resistance, which is the major contributor to the top 4 causes of death worldwide. Those being heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's, and type 2 diabetes. Applying the keto diet properly can not only reverse insulin resistance, but depending on your situation, it can also prevent and even reverse one of those major diseases, especially type 2 diabetes. There are thousands of people who have reversed their type 2 diabetes on the keto diet. This is one of the reasons why it's so popular. Now, as for protein, the amount you should consume depends on your gender, weight, etc., but it's usually 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. So if you weigh, let's say 200 pounds, but your goal is to get down to 175 pounds, you want to eat 175 grams of protein per day. And if your goal is to improve health and you don't have a need to lose weight, you would consume 200 grams of protein if you weigh 200 pounds. As for your fat intake, you'll want to be as close to the protein number as possible. So if you're eating around 175 grams of protein, you'll want to take in about 175 grams of fat. Protein is utilized best when paired with fat, just like in nature. And you'll want to keep your carbs at or under 20 grams a day. If you know you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, you can wean down to this number or even 10 grams per day, inshallah. Now, working with your doctor is very important if you're using insulin therapy. You don't want to cut out your carbs if taking insulin because the medication is based on a high-carb diet. So make sure you don't take insulin medication while cutting out carbs. It can drive your blood sugar down too low and create an emergency situation. So let your doctor know what you want to do and have them work with you, inshallah. So what to eat and when? Now, before jumping into the food, let's take a second to understand intermittent fasting. This is a great way to start for 2 reasons. Number 1, it'll help you adapt to fat burning faster and will shorten your withdrawals from carbs. Number 2, it'll speed up insulin sensitivity because you're not eating for a long period of time. You're only drinking fluids. It's very common for people to pair intermittent fasting with keto as a kind of turbo boost for insulin sensitivity and fat burning. A popular way of doing this is to fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window. So for example, you'll have your last meal at 6 p.m. and then you won't eat again until the next day at 10 a.m., essentially skipping breakfast. You can start with 3 spaced out meals in that 8 hours, but ideally you'll want to get it down to just the 2 meals, one at 6 p.m. and one at 10 a.m. You can drink water, tea, and coffee, just don't add any sugar or milk. Half and half or heavy cream is fine because there's virtually no sugar in those, whereas regular milk has a good amount of sugar, so we'll stay away from that for now. If you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, you can shorten the fasting time and work your way up to 16 hours. And what's nice about the 6 p.m. to 10 a.m. fast is that you're sleeping during most of the fast. Okay, what to eat? Fortunately, the keto diet is very simple. Firstly, only eat real foods such as beef, chicken, lamb, goat, and low-carb vegetables. In the beginning, I recommend getting a calorie tracking app like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal to track the macros, the fat, protein, and carbs. I'll put a link down below. You won't be tracking calories at first because the main goal is adapting to using fat as your primary fuel, which can take between a week and a month for most people. After a while, you won't need these apps, so I don't recommend paying for any of the pro or premium stuff. Unless you've reached your goals and want to increase your carbs with other real food options, then you may want to track your calories. The thing is, the more closely you stick to meat as your primary food, the easier it is because you don't have to think about it much. Number 2, you want to eat fattier meats. Fat is not bad. It only appears to be bad when it's paired with processed foods. In other words, don't blame butter for what the toast did. If you're buying beef, look for 80-20 or 85-15, meaning 80% lean, 20% fat. With chicken, eat only the thighs and legs. The breast is too lean. We don't want that for keto. Goat and lamb are also good. Thirdly, eat as many eggs as you want. Dietary cholesterol does not affect your blood cholesterol. I'll be doing more videos on misconceptions like this soon, inshallah. Eggs are a superfood. If you can find pasture-raised eggs, that's best. Number 4, eat more salt. Because of the lack of carbs, you won't retain much water when doing keto. So add a pinch of real salt or Himalayan salt to your meals. This also helps reduce feeling tired and miserable in the beginning. Number 5, drink enough water. You don't have to overdo it, but just be sure to drink when thirsty. If you feel hungry, try drinking a glass of water instead. Sometimes hunger and thirst signals can get mixed up. If you're never thirsty, it means you're not eating enough salt. And lastly, number 6, eat your protein first. If you're eating a burger patty or steak with butter, romaine lettuce, and cucumber salad, for example, eat the beef first. The carbs are an afterthought. The main nutrition and fuel is from the meat, the protein. Again, focus on the protein. 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight. Well, that's it. This is a good start. Also remember to stay away from keto-friendly foods because they're processed and usually addictive, just like real junk food. If anything, it's going to spark sugar cravings that you may have if you have an addiction to carbs, which can be a slippery slope when around junk food. You want to eat as clean as possible to eliminate any carb and sugar cravings. If you have any questions, again, hit me up in the comments, or you can shoot me an email at farouk@faroukbinadam.com. May Allah reward you for being curious and keep tying your camel. Assalamu alaikum.